Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Really excited, we're going to bring you a buyer's guide, a little bit of a comparison video today. What's cool is we took both of these back in on trade. So this is a 2023 Polaris Ranger 570 EFI SP, 2023 CFMoto UForce 600. So it's really cool. I've got the same exact model year and the direct comparisons. These are both at mid-size UTV. It's a two-seater with your dump box. So this isn't a sport model, this is utility. Use it around the house, farm, maybe a little bit of trail riding, but we really want to get you into a trail buggy if you're going to do that. So this video, we're just going to do a head-to-head. We're going to do a drag race on the road. We're going to radar gun them. That stuff's really not that important to me because I want to sell you a machine for the farm. So top speed is cool, but that's not why we're doing this. We want to show you the features, the comfort, and which one works better. They're really close. I'm going to say that right up front. They're both really good machines. We were a Polaris dealer for 23 years. We're no longer sell Polaris. We've been with CFMoto now for almost 10 years now. It's crazy. So really good success with CFMoto, really good success with Polaris. This is just where we are as a dealership right now. So real quick, news and notes. I'm going to throw some numbers at you guys real quick, just to get it out of the way. So a 2023 Polaris Ranger 570 SP, 11,499, so 11,500. We have to be careful because this machine did not come with the mirrors, it didn't come with the roof, and it didn't come with the windshield. The customer added those accessories. There's no power steering, there's no winch, it's not painted, there's no aluminum rims. Polaris has done a really good job over the years of selling you a base machine, and they make you buy all the accessories. And that's cool, they did a great job, that's why they do so well. CFMoto over here, this one, 2023, UForce 600 is 10,699. So we're 2 years past this. It's now up to 11. It's now 10,999. This machine did come with the roof. It did come with the side mirrors. It is painted. It's a painted finish. LED lights versus halogen lights. Aluminum wheels. Power steering and winch. This customer, before they traded it back in, they did add a windshield. They added half doors, front and rear bumpers, and then a rear window. So we did some pretty cool stuff to that one. This machine has 45 miles on it, and this one's just under 300. So both motors are broken. When we're doing our drag race stuff, we're not running dead cold, brand new motors. So pretty cool. And to get the Polaris, if we wanted power steering here, we're going to go to $13,999. So we are $3,000 more to get power steering, and you still don't get the winch or the windshield or the roof. You still have to buy all that stuff. So that's probably going to be closer to like a $15,000 purchase with a winch and a roof. So pretty big price gap if we're trying to compare apples to apples. So I'm going to bring you guys in. I'm going to do a walk around of both machines, and then we're going to drive them around. These machines are very similar. I took some notes, and I'm not going to give you the full on the website breakdowns, the spec sheets, because you guys can do that. I don't need to waste your time talking about all that. Some of the interesting ones though that I read, 44 horsepower on the Polaris, 36 horsepower on the CFMoto. That's a pretty big gap, even though the CCs are 20 more CCs over here on the CFMoto. So we're going to see when we do our run down the road if it's truly that much faster or not. Opposite though, CFMoto holds 600 pounds for payload in the back, and the Ranger over here is only 500 pounds of payload. So a little more payload in the back of the CFMoto. They do have identical towing, 1,500 pounds for towing. The ground clearance is within a half an inch on stock wheels. So 11 inches here, 10.5 inches on the CFMoto. The height, that's usually a pretty big concern for most customers. We're at 76 inches tall because that comes with the roof, and that roof really adds some height to it. So our roll cage stops here, but we got this bubble in the middle that kind of helps shed water to either side. So that's why we're at 76 there, and this is 74 without the roof. But you can see, since we added the roof here, it's doing the same thing. We gained that extra couple inches. So I bring up the height because if you have a garage or an enclosed trailer, they're both, I'm going to say, with roofs right at 76 inches. The width is identical, within an inch. The fuel capacity is identical, 9.5 and 9.25. They're both fuel injected. They're both probably not going to, they're going to sip the gas. We're not going to run through it. Polaris does have turf mode, and we're going to get into that when we're going to do a circle test. We're going to see how well the Polaris turns in a tight circle and how well the CFMoto. I think the Polaris is going to win hands down because it has turf mode. We can unlock that rear end, right? We have one wheel drive in the back, where the CFMoto is going to be locked in a two-wheel drive all the time in the rear. So that's maybe one of the reasons why you're spending $4,000 more over here on the Polaris. Oh, adjustable driver's seat. I noticed the Polaris Ranger does not have that. So if you look here, this bench seat, and I don't want to go into too much because I'm going to do a full walk around. You can see that bench seat does not have an adjustable seat to it. If I pop the door out of the way on this little guy, you can see the driver's seat alone is adjustable. So I thought that was kind of interesting. No USB outlet. There is a USB outlet. There's 2 drive modes on the CFMoto. There's no drive modes on the Polaris. There's no reverse lights on the Polaris either. So what I'm talking about is we put the handle in reverse on the dash, and the back of the taillights have a reverse light. It's a white light like a pickup truck, and it really, really helps at night when you're backing up to stuff. So those are my comparisons, halogen bulbs, LED bulbs. I'm going to give you guys a walk around, and then we'll drive these things around. Braxton's going to go over there and walk the track while I'm doing this video. We made some track changes. This is where we do all our dirt bike tests. Really fun track here and then up through the woods. We're going to ride these through the woods portion. We're not going to hit the jumps with this. So we'll walk around the CFMoto first, because I'm used to it. I do have walk around videos of this on our channel, so I don't want to bore you guys with too much. We do have the LED lights. We do have double A-arm front suspension, so that's a difference. The Polaris has a single A-arm and a strut, so there's no upper A-arm. This shock goes all the way down to the lower A-arm, and then that puts your tire on a curve. When we have 2 A-arms, it's going to keep our tire in a straight up and down line. And when does that matter? So if we're taking a really sharp turn to the right, that outside tire, it's got a lot of pressure on it. This is going to keep it from rolling, and it's going to give you way more stability inside the machine. Where the Polaris is right here. The Polaris, single A-arm with a strut. You can see there's no upper A-arm, and so this tire is on an arc. So if we put a lot of pressure on it and we're cornering hard, it's going to come up in the stroke and start to roll. So it's all just geometry and how to make things handle better. So grease fittings all over on the front of this thing and the back. There are no grease fittings on the Polaris. Polaris a while ago went to those sealed bushings. I remember on the snowmobiles a long time ago. So they both have the same style gas shock. They're not adjustable with clickers like compression or rebound, but they do both have the tower. So you can adjust here to adjust your spring preload. So front suspension, easy. Again, aluminum wheels on the CFMoto. A nice inner fender. We did add the windshield. I want to talk about that. The mirrors come stock and they do fold all the way in, all the way out, which is nice. Here's our stock poly roof that came on it. We're going to ignore the door because it would have side nets otherwise. That seat's adjustable forward and back. Steering wheel's adjustable, so we can go up or down with it. We do have an e-brake. Keep that in mind because we do not have that on the Polaris. Polaris does not have an e-brake. We have our 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and then 4-wheel drive diff lock. So a little different than the Polaris 2-wheel, 4-wheel. When we go to the normal 4-wheel, it's an open front diff, and then I have to lock it in here. And now all 4 tires are locked in all the time. Polaris has all-wheel drive technology. You can shift the Polaris on the fly. You have to stop to shift this one. It's going to give you a quick run through on the dash. A lot of storage down below, and you're going to find that's almost identical in the Polaris. A lot of storage. You will note that the CFMoto does have 2 USB ports. We do not have that on the Polaris. It does have the 12 volt as well. And here's our 2 drive modes, normal and work mode. Polaris has a single mode, 2 cup holders in the middle, and then a good sized glove box right here in the side. It goes down, it kind of dives right down in there. Again, and then storage under the seat. So I'll pop this up right here. A good sized storage bin underneath there. Those are those stock nets, if you're wondering. Those are the side nets when we put the seat on there. So one thing in the back that I noted on the Polaris, I liked how deep the Polaris bed was. So this bed is 10 inches deep, and then the Polaris was 13. So a little more depth to the Polaris bed. This one was 2 inches wider. That's our camera stuff. Tailgate, a little bit different. So the CFMoto tailgate, you have 2 clips, one on each side, and you undo it. Where the Polaris is more like a pickup truck. Kind of cool, I like the Polaris. And here is our reverse lights that we see on the CFMoto. Here's our rear suspension, again, 2 A-arms. Polaris has 2 A-arms in the rear. Grease fittings there. There is our fill plug for the rear diff, and like I said, the front diff is almost identical, so it's easy to get to, easy to service all that. I really want to tip this bed up real quick, so we're going to slide this around. And the reason I want to tip this up is because I really want to show you guys inside of here, if I don't lose my camera stuff. That's a pretty good lean angle. CFMoto comes with these inner fender wells. It's so important. All of your mud coming off this rear tire is hitting here and falling down rather than coming up in here and coating the motor. So you can see it's only got 44 miles on it and it's never really been in mud. Like you can tell it's never been dirty. So not a good example for like mud being thrown into it, but easy to get to everything. Air filter is there. Our battery is literally right there. So battery, air filter, oil fill. CFMoto engine compartment is super big, wide open, easy to get to everything. We'll walk around to this side. Just give you a peek inside here. Again, air filter a little bit closer over here. Pretty wide open. Fuel goes in here. And one last thing that I want to show you guys on the CFMoto here is how easily this hood opens and how much it does open. So it's really hard to do with one hand. So I'm going to pop that open there. And what I'm doing here, because you couldn't see the last one, pull down and out. Okay, I got it, easy. This is so cool, by the way. So when you're trying to wash this machine, tip your bed up, blast that out, and then you can rack this whole thing up with no tools within seconds, and you can blast all this out with a hose. So your ownership and maintenance is so much easier with the CFMoto because you're not trying to stand on top of your head doing underneath the fender. So we have our brake reservoir, coolant reservoir, fuse panel, winch contactor, and then this is our cooling fan. Well, on the back, radiator though. So the radiator is right here, easy to clean. And I want to jump to the Polaris because I want to show both, because this is really easy too. So we're going to do, let's see, quarter turn, and I'm going to pop this thing out of the way here. So let me just figure it out. There we go. Okay, that's more operator error, not a fault of Polaris there. So what I did notice was how much bigger the CFMoto radiator is. So CFMoto radiator is 3 inches wider and 3 inches deeper. So there's the Polaris one, really hard to see, maybe from the back. You can see how small it is. It's just the size of the fan right there. And that is so much bigger, a lot more volume and a bigger space there. So we're not going to work these long enough or hard enough, but if you were on a farm and you were pulling a trailer on a fence line, I could see how a bigger radiator is going to keep it cooler better. So maybe Polaris doesn't need it. Maybe their motor is just a better design and maybe doesn't need the extra cooling. So on this side we have our brake reservoir, coolant fill here, and it's still pretty easy to clean this out, but you know the whole hood is not opening like over here. So to wash this out, you're going to be up underneath here with a hose. So keep that in mind. A little bit harder to do your continual cleaning versus this. You just walk in and blast away. And what's funny is CFMoto, I don't want to say stole it, but this is what Polaris has did for a long time. They flipped the whole hood up, and now Polaris has gone, at least their mid-size chassis, they've gone away from it again. So I think it's interesting. Let's walk around this thing. Okay, took a second, put the center hood back in. And again, keep in mind, the roof, windshield, and side mirrors were accessories with this purchase. So there's no winch in the front. You can see over here we got the cable winch. No winch on the Polaris. There's obviously a spot for it. You can see where the fair lead would mount right here. And I'm sure there's a bracket you can buy. And then there's no power steering. So that steering shaft just goes straight up to the handle or to the steering wheel and you turn it manually. You can see the front diff is pretty easy to get to in the Polaris. There's your fill plug there as well. And it's easy to clean this out. You have one less A-arm to kind of worry about, and there's no grease fittings like I mentioned there. So Polaris has been running that same exact shock for a long time. I remember as a kid cleaning all the machines at the shop. I do like the Polaris tire. I will give a lot of credit here. The Carlisle, the AT49, they've been running that tire for 15 years, and it's been really good. It wears well, and the CFMoto tire wears really good in our experience as well. Customers, this one's not high mileage, but some are, and come back looking really well still. So one thing on the Polaris is that I like the floorboard. I don't know, maybe it's really tight right here though. Trying to show this is how tight this is getting here. I have a size 13 shoe, and it's really not. You got this thing that kicks out right here. I wish that wasn't there, just so. Oh, maybe you could remove that. It's kind of flimsy. Maybe you could unbolt it. Because the CFMoto is a little bit bigger footwell to get into right here. You can see I can slide my shoe all the way in with this one, where you can't do that with the CFMoto or the Polaris. And the CFMoto has these little drain cups right here. So if you're trying to wash the floor out on this, you can pull these little cups up and rinse the mud down into there. The Polaris doesn't really need it though, because you can blast the mud water straight off the edge. So you don't need the cups on the Polaris. It's a pretty flat floor all the way across. I could start here and I could rinse the mud out that way. I do like their cup holders. It's a good spot for them down low like that. Oh, you got 4. You got 2 up here and 2 down there. So they added some extra cup holders to this one. Storage is easy. It's deep, really deep on this. I like that. Kind of like a weird one right here. Kind of shallow. Little storage bin down there, and then the glove box is almost identical. I do like how Polaris gave you this, though. I don't know if she added this or if it was just with it, but this is a charger port for your battery. So some people don't use them enough and their batteries get soft. That's really cool how that's there. Again, remember there's no parking brake on this one. This is just relying strictly on the park and the transmission, which can suck on a hill. If you're on a hill and you're in park and trying to get out, we like to lock the parking brake on the CFMotos before we change gears. It really makes it nice. This does have the 12 volt, no USB ports, and the light switch is actually in the key. So when it's running, you have no lights and then lights on. You can see their halogen over here. So a halogen bulb there. Let me just turn the key on the CFMoto, and you'll see it's an LED light. So it's definitely brighter. Let's see, do I even have the lights on? Let's see. Here we go, now lights are on. That was just running light. So LED light from CFMoto, the halogen from the Polaris. Again, is it a big deal? Probably at night if you're doing a lot of work. LEDs are always nice. Expect, you know, all the new cars are. The dash and the CFMoto, pretty similar. Odometer, speedometer, hour meter, pretty much all the same stuff between the two, so I can't really say one's better than the other on the display, just a different look. The steering wheel is adjustable, so at least you can adjust the steering wheel on the Polaris. You just can't adjust your seat. So when you're shopping, make sure you go sit in it, because if I might fit, but my wife won't, and that's not fun. So with the CFMoto, she and I can continually adjust that seat back and forth. Makes it nice. I do love on this thing how deep this bed is. I don't know why, because I don't do a ton of that kind of stuff, but when you have a bed, it is nice to be able to put stuff in it. Got some like bucket cutouts, which is kind of cool. And I do like their center tailgate latch there, so easy to use. Again, no reverse lights, which is kind of a bummer. So this is just a solid red light. Reverse lights are just super nice at night. Let's dump the bed on this. Everything's easy to get to. Look how easy that dry belt is on the Polaris. So if you need to get that out and access it, it's easy. Again, no grease fittings down there. Not super hard to wash in here, because this tire is gonna, but the only thing is there's no inner fender to block the mud going in there. So this mud is gonna go directly in there and kind of coat all that. You can tell this machine's literally never had mud either. Both of these used machines are pretty nice. So a little bit of a fender going toward the front, but not much protecting the motor. Let's just show you the other side so you can see what I'm talking about here. You can see like all this mud's just gonna pile in there and stain all this. So I don't love that. I wanna take care of my stuff. I'm always going through it. I forgot to show you under the seat of this one. So a little bit tougher with one hand to get these seat belts to cooperate. Here we go. So battery's easy to get to for sure. Nice big storage bin. I would say pretty equal to the CFMoto. That one's pretty deep. It's pretty exciting. And then your fuel cell. So under the seat, I'd say they're equal. I'll fix that when we turn the camera off. So gosh, what else? I think that's pretty much it. That's my walk around of both. Now we just need to drive these things. All right, Brax and I are going to drive the UForce 600 first. So foot on the brake. The seat for me all the way back is the best. I'm pretty tall. I'm like 6'5". Seatbelt has to be on to go over like 5 miles an hour. And we're gonna just do high range. E-brake is off. I don't think your door is closed all the way. I want to pull that in or like shut it pretty hard. Try one more time. Okay. Okay, so where we are riding these is on our dirt bike racetrack. You can probably see all the ruts and berms and jumps all the way up through there. So it's not super smooth. Pretty hard this time of year because there's not a lot of rain. Handled it pretty well. We were in low range the whole time up through the woods. Handled it great. A little more cab noise because that door is really loose. I need to tighten a bolt on it. And then the rear window and the front window kind of help hold the cab noise in. So maybe less cab noise, I'm assuming, on the Polaris because there's no rear window and no doors. But I'm excited to go try that on the same trail and see if it felt any smoother. Let's go do it. Alright, let's turn this thing on. Go in low range, feels smooth. 570 motor's been around forever. The fan's already on this one. I was talking about the cooling fan. The cooling fan's already on the front. And the radiator's perfectly cleaned out. There's no issue with it. That's interesting. Smooth takeoff, just like the CFMoto. They're both really smooth on takeoff. Okay, news and notes. There's good things about both for sure. You can tell this does not have power steering when you're turning on those turns. It does have one-wheel drive, which is helping that, and we left it in one wheel because that's the ultimate turf mode, is really nice to have. So it was definitely harder to steer. I do think it's quieter. Even if we had the rear window and the noisy doors like that are on the CFMoto on this, still think the Polaris is a quieter machine. And this thing is smooth. Braxton, what do you think? Did you have an opinion on which one felt smoother?
About the same. I mean, just trying to hold the camera.
Yeah, I guess they weren't a ton different, but
maybe a little smoother, but I don't know.
I don't think either one was like blowing me away with how smooth it was.
No.
So I don't think the ride's any different. I just think the Polaris, do you think it's a little bit quieter?
Yeah, it's definitely quieter.
I think it's quieter. Like I said, CFMoto has a few more things on it restricting that, but I still think with those it's the same. So let's do some turning radius stuff now. Okay, we're gonna do a turning radius test, and it's in turf mode because Polaris has that. We're gonna turn it full lock right here, and we're gonna wing it like this. Bring it all the way around, and it should end up pretty much right where we started, right here. Let's see if we can find it. Right there, that's our starting point. Let's have a look at this. So with it having turf mode, you can tell that we didn't leave any sort of like inside tire tread mark, and that's our outside of the Polaris right here. You can see that mark all the way around. It's nice in the millions here. So I'm going to move the Polaris out of the way. I'll grab the CFMoto and we'll look at the marks on top of the Polaris marks. Okay, we're in low range again, and this is in two-wheel drive. We got our starting mark identical there. This is easy with the one finger. I'm gonna just do a circle with it. See how much different it is than the Polaris here. We can end up right where we started here. Nice, perfect. Let's hop out and let's see what our results look like. So, oh, I didn't really leave a mark. I was expecting this thing to tear up the concrete like crazy because it doesn't have one-wheel drive. I thought for sure we'd have a lot more mark here to go by. That's pretty incredible. Usually when it doesn't have turf mode, it leaves all kinds of tread marks. I was going to show why the Polaris is better in this case, and this is loose millions, by the way, so like it would have shown any kind of scrub mark. So what were your guys' thoughts? Was it any better?
No, it was way outside.
So we were way out further?
Oh yeah, the Polaris outside tire was here.
Okay.
And that's where the inside tire was on the CFMoto.
Okay.
The outside tire was way out here.
But it's crazy, why didn't it tear it up, you know?
Well, because it was kind of on top of that line.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see where the outside tire kind of turned up here?
Okay.
But the outside tire of the Polaris was way over here.
So it's a way sharper turning radius.
Oh,
I was hanging out the door, so I wasn't really.
Way sharp, but
So way sharper.
we
I thought it was gonna tear it up more, but it really didn't. I'm pretty impressed with that. So we're gonna say 4 feet sharper turning radius for sure. So 4 or 5 feet sharper on the Polaris.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, the guys are gonna drag race CFMoto versus the Polaris here. I'm gonna drop the flag. 3, 2, 1, go! So the Polaris definitely gets the CFMoto out of the hole, no doubt about it. But that CFMoto runs with it once the initial gain is gone. It's really close. All right, they're gonna run back down the road, so I'm gonna zoom in. Okay, so as we expected, this has 44 horsepower versus the 36. And so this is kind of pulls out of the hole and keeps going.
Kind of slowly just
keeps walking away from it. I feel like it really launches out of the hole, but like the end of that, the CFMoto looked like it stayed with it better. Like it wasn't pulling it as hard the further you went. The speeds are starting to top out, but it's cool to see. So Polaris.
About 6,000 RPM stays right there.
So the shifting is really good. It's just with
the motor makes its horsepower, but it stays at 6,000.
But you know, just with it having 8 less horsepower, what's it gonna do? You know, that's just kind of the nature of it. I don't know if there's an RPM or if he was watching it or not. So let's get the radar gun out and we'll get some top speed stuff. Okay guys, last thing of the day, we're gonna do some radar gun stuff. We always do. I think it's pretty sweet. It works good. They're gonna crest the hill doing about 20. The roads, this is about a quarter mile. So waiting for them to crest it. I told them to do about 20 at the top and then punch it right at the top, and that should give them pretty well shifted out. I hear one of them coming. That's LED headlights. That's gotta be the CFMoto. Oh wow, it's already picking it up. 49, 51. Wow, that's pretty good. 52. 52 mile an hour for a UForce 600. All right, here comes Braxton coming over the hill. $51. 51, that's it. 49. Oh, 51. Okay, top speed's a little less. Okay, so CFMoto versus Polaris on the drag race. The UForce was 52 miles an hour on the radar gun. What did it say inside the cab?
56.
So it was off by about 4. 52 is what the Bushnell showed us. What'd yours show on the dash on the Polaris?
It showed 53.
53? It was 51. So the CFMoto was 1 mile an hour. They're identical, but it's funny the horsepower difference and the initial pull of the Polaris, how much faster it is, but when they shift out, they're both doing about the same. One side note is I did do the correct tire PSI. There's 14 in the rear and 10 in the front on the UForce, and this was 16 PSI all the way around, which more tire pressure is usually faster, but in this case it wasn't.
Final gearing when it topped out.
Okay guys, thanks for watching all the way to the end here. Pumped to have you along with us. Please consider subscribing to our channel. In conclusion, they're both really good machines. I would boil it down to like dealer support. If you have a local dealer that does great work, they have a good mechanic, they get you in and out quick, they don't charge you a lot of fees, go with that brand. The CFMoto is $2,000 to $4,000 less depending on how you equip these, like Apple for Apple. So you do have a lot more value in the CFMoto. Top speed is the same. The Polaris, some notes that are great about the Polaris: deeper bed, you do have turf mode, sharper turning radius, it is quieter, and it has more acceleration. So named a lot of performance stuff right there, right? Acceleration, horsepower, turning radius. CFMoto, less of that. So it still does 52 miles an hour, so it just doesn't get there quite as quick. LED headlights, power steering, winch, roof, all that stuff is stock. A little more cab noise. Like I said, we do have more cab components making that noisier, but I still think the Polaris is quieter. So it doesn't accelerate quite as quick, and it doesn't turn quite as sharp as the Polaris. Those are both things that we really can't change just on a consumer level with any kind of aftermarket accessory. So we're pumped though. Like I thought there'd be more of a gap, to be completely honest with you. I haven't driven a Polaris since 2017. That was the last year we sold Polaris. Haven't really been in them since then. So I'm really thankful with how good the CFMoto is for the price point that we're selling them at. So hope you guys enjoyed the ride. We'll see you in the trail. Have a great day.